You finally hire a commission rep who sounds hungry, and 30 days later, they vanish without a word. It's not the comp plan, it's not their work ethic, and it's not that nobody wants to work anymore. Because guess what? Your competitors are interviewing this same pool of candidates. So why are they pulling in tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars per year while you're stuck grinding 80 hours a week trying to keep up? The truth is, what happens in the first 72 hours is everything. That's what determines whether a new rep sticks or disappears forever. And that's exactly what we're going to cover in this video. After placing over 20,000 commission-based reps across 1,200 plus sales teams, we've cracked the system that gets them to stay, sell, and scale. And I'm breaking it down in this video step by step. So the first point I want to talk about here is why most commission reps quit within 7 days. Now, a lot of you out there probably get real excited by things like confidence or charisma in the interview, but those traits don't actually predict follow-through. Here's what really happens. Commission-only reps don't fail in the traditional sense. They aren't the type to flame out after a few months. They quietly disengage in the first few days. Why? Because there's no structure and no momentum. The key to actually retaining commission-based sales reps is to give them quick and early wins consistently throughout those first 7 days of them actually being on board with your team. You want to get them bought into the culture. You want to get them surrounded by winners who are already on your team, or surrounded with yourself if you're just starting out, and you want them to feel like they're part of something bigger. You want them to see the potential early on. And if they don't see the potential early on, or they feel like the resources aren't there, they're going to churn. That's the reality of it. When you're on a commission-only plan, you're really stepping into a high-friction, low-certainty world. You have no guaranteed paycheck and no real built-in confidence. And that's where most leaders miss the mark when it comes to onboarding commission-based reps. These reps don't need less support early on. You're not looking for a unicorn self-starter. These people need more support. Otherwise, they're going to churn, and if they're really sold on doing sales, then they're going to go to your competitor, because your competitor's actually going to value them as an employee. These reps really need someone showing them what good looks like, giving them direction, and helping them feel those small wins early on. And if that doesn't happen, the rep starts second-guessing their decision, loses energy, and inevitably, they're going to disappear before the first week even ends. Now, in order to overcome some of this churn, what I want to talk about next is what I like to refer to as the 72-hour stickiness window. So those first 72 hours are everything. Those 3 days decide if your new rep becomes your next top performer or your next new no-show. There's no structure, then these reps are going to drift, they're going to lose belief, and inevitably, they're going to leave. So during those first 72 hours, your focus needs to be on 3 things. Number 1, we need to set hard expectations. What that means really is that you need to outline for this rep what success looks like, how performance is tracked, and what's actually required of them daily. Number 2, what we need to do here is actually teach the playbook. Now, what is the playbook? The playbook is really a clear process and clear messaging that they can actually follow in order to standardize all of their sales interactions. If you don't have like a basic script for them to follow, if you're doing door-to-door, if you don't have like a routing software, you ideally, in a perfect world, and in order for this to work to where you're not dealing with churn from people who could potentially be making you millions of dollars, you need to have as much standardized as possible. You really have to like try to dummy proof every process so that, a guy with, let's say like a college football player who was, D2 and, was great at athletics and is super hungry and motivated, but is, not exactly a genius, can go in and immediately pick it up and immediately grind and make money for you and for them. Like, it needs to be something that anybody can just jump right into. So you need to have some sort of like standardized playbook that these reps can actually follow, and more importantly, that you or your manager can actually teach them. Now, the third thing here, and this is arguably, in my opinion, probably the most important, you need to reward effort early. And you need to do that emotionally. You have to make these new reps feel like they're actually winning before they even close the deal. At HyperHired, we call these activation moments. And really, like, what those are, it's small little wins that build confidence early. So that could be something like completing a mock call, booking their first appointment, hitting an early outreach goal, like number of doors knocked. Whatever that looks like within your business, the goal is pretty straightforward with that, right? You want to get them feeling like part of the team fast. Because for commission-based roles, belief comes long before performance. And if you lose belief, you lose the rep. Quick pause. If this system sounds complex, or you're currently dealing with recruiting or retention issues right now, you don't have enough reps coming in, or you can't maintain those reps, I wanted to let you know that at HyperHired, we actually take over this entire process for you, so that all you have to do is really meet with the top 5 to 10% of candidates and actually plug them into a proven onboarding system. So if that's something you would be looking for and you'd rather have the experts do this for you than, continue spinning your wheels or losing potentially millions millions of dollars a year in missed opportunity, then click the link down below in the description and let's schedule a call. Now let's get to the actual meat and potatoes of everything. Now the next thing I want to cover with you is the 7-step commission rep onboarding system. And really, this is where we're going to get a little more tactical. Here's the exact 7-step system that we use to onboard and retain commission-based reps. Now, the first step here when you're onboarding new reps is you want to pre-frame the reality with them. You're not just selling the dream, you have to show the grind. Talk about rejection rates, the work hours, and what top performers actually do differently. When people know the reality up front, they're far less likely to quit when it hits. Step 2, you want to shadow and simulate with this candidate before the offer. Let them shadow a top rep, role play objections, all that sort of stuff before you ever extend an offer to them. This way, you can quickly see who can stay composed under pressure and who's not ready. Number 3 here, you want to assign a ramping quota. Even pre-training, give them a small goal, something low stakes like a set number of calls, leads, or appointments. You're not really testing results here, you're testing initiative. So you're starting a new rep, right? At the end of the day, sales closed is really a lagging indicator. What you need to be optimizing for with a new rep who just joined your team is something that's more top of funnel, right? Leads generated, doors knocked, appointments set if you're, working a canvassing team, whatever that is, right? Number of pitches, that sort of thing, before they actually get to the sales closed. If you're in roofing, inspections performed, all that sort of stuff, contracts submitted, et cetera, right? It's important to gamify those early wins, which is step 4. The problem with commission-based sales reps is that early on, it's very difficult for them to ramp up into KPI in order to reach their full potential. It's a blessing and a curse in that a commission-based guy can come in, and if they really crush it and they hit KPI or exceed KPI and they're, in your top 5% of employees, they can make $250,000, $500,000 a year. That's awesome. But it takes a long time for them to get there, right? And that is exactly why you have to make the actual effort the win early on. If your team goes door to door, reward the number of doors knocked or the leads submitted, use a software like SalesRabbit to track progress and keep it visual. If your team is high ticket or appointment based, do frequent call reviews and, celebrate good habits, good objection handling, all that sort of stuff. These are small little micro wins. Slack shoutouts, leaderboards, micro rewards. Really, the more visibility you can give, the more momentum you're going to get. Now, the 5th part here is really group trainings and activities. And you want to do these every morning. This is one of the biggest game changers that you can implement right now, even if you're not actively recruiting. My partner, Josh, is probably the best I've ever seen at this. And fast-paced pep talks really just set the tone for the day. It does not need to be complicated. 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. John, you fucking crushed it today. I know you got a few deals you're working on the side. What's holding you back? What objection are you getting? Who's in the pipeline? 30 seconds of coaching. Hey, Joe, you told me in the interview you wanted to break $250K this year. How far are you? Are we on track? Okay, let's lock in. You're right there. Just keep it high fucking energy with these reps because that's what's going to actually fuel the culture and keep new reps plugged in so that they get bought in themselves. The other piece too, sort of correlated with this, is when you have a new rep coming in, what you want to do is you want to pair them with a top performer. And not only do you want to pair them with a top performer, really what you should be doing is giving that top performer some sort of bonus incentive if that new hire sticks for 30 days. Because frankly, unless you're just not firing people, someone sticking 30 days within your business probably means they made you, 50 grand, right? Otherwise, what are they doing? They're burning leads. You can have somebody else out there. You have somebody else taking these calls. Now, the 6th thing you want to do here is really weekly accountability. Really at the start, you want to set minimum activity requirements and also track them publicly. That way no one can hide, no one falls through the cracks. And finally, step 7 here, showing a clear rep to leader path. So you want to show your high performers what's possible in the next 90 days, how they can move into a leadership or training role, what other opportunities are, available to them. Because at the end of the day, ambition is what creates stickiness. If they can see that they can move up, then, that person's much more likely to stick around because people want growth. So, quick conclusion here. The issue usually isn't the reps. It's the system that you plug them into. When you have the structure, the culture, and the visibility into everything, you create belief. And belief is what keeps commission-based reps from ghosting and helps them start producing fast. Now, again, we've refined this across over 20,000 placements and over 1,200 unique companies, and it works. So if you're tired of running this process yourself and you want us to find, screen, and deliver commission-ready reps to you, then click the link down below in the description to see exactly how our process works. I'll see you on the other side.